Hey guys, Suresh here from TMCB. In today's video, let's talk about the Python Bootcamp event which was hosted by Scaler, which was completely free of cost. And let's talk about this. So without much further delay, let's directly get into the topic. Okay guys, before entering into the topic, I request if anyone's new to my channel, which is the Middle Class Baker or TMCB in short, to first subscribe to my channel and click on the bell icon so that you guys don't miss any of the content that I'm trying to give out, which is completely related to computer science, engineering or software engineering. Now, coming to the topic, we have discovered something called as Scaler Python Bootcamp or Scaler events in general. And I was pretty surprised to attend this particular event or bootcamp, and I just wanted to share this with all of my viewers who stumble upon my channel. Now, Scaler hosts many events very frequently over the past few months. And I was very skeptical about this bootcamp because usually when they say it's free, it's usually that they try to call in people, they talk about a couple of topics, and then they start to sell their paid courses or paid mentorship programs or any full stack development programs or anything that is related to paid courses and programs. Now that is why I've never been attending all of these free webinars or bootcamps that any of the companies, irrespective of what background they are. I never attend any of the free sessions. But then I happen to see that Scaler in recent times have been creating some noise in CS background courses, let it be full stack engineer or data structures and algorithms, or even let's say Python for that matter of fact. They've been creating some noise, and whenever I go read in Quora or any portals, there are a lot of people who talk about Scaler. So I just wanted to go in and see how well they take this Python bootcamp, or is it like any other sales strategy or marketing strategy. So I happen to register in this. So before talking about how they happen to conduct this webinar or bootcamp, let me talk about what are their events and what are the topics that they talk about. So if you head on to Scaler/events, they have many boot camps. And before I could even continue further, this is not a sponsorship, like Scaler is not sponsoring me, nor am I doing a favor to Scaler. This is just my genuine opinion, so that people who do not have money or who do not have enough amount to get enrolled on a paid course, they will at least learn something from this free webinar. So that's the only reason why I'm trying and talking to my viewers regarding this particular bootcamp. Now, in Scaler, you have something called as events, and these events are conducted very frequently over the past few months. Like I think every week or every month, they have close to 3 to 4 boot camps or webinars that they conduct, which is completely free of cost. You don't have to pay anything. And the best part is you also get a certificate of participations. Like once you participate and once, let's say you're there for the whole boot camp or for the whole webinar, you do get a certification for participating in that particular boot camp. It's not of any use, to be really honest. Like no employee or employer tries and recognizes all of these certificates. It's just for your happiness that they give you. It's just like an excellence award that you get for staying for 3 hours or 4 hours in our particular boot camp. So here you go, here's a certificate. That's how these people have been doing it. So I really liked the way that this was organized and managed. Now they have multiple events starting from Python to web development, to your system designs, to your data science, to your machine learning and artificial intelligence. These guys do take a lot of boot camps, and all of these are free, guys. Like you don't have to pay a single rupee. All you have to do is you'll have to click on these events and register using a mail ID, and then you get a link on the particular date that the webinar has been scheduled. And you just have to join, and probably each webinar, like the one that I attended, which was yesterday, which was on June 2nd, Saturday, if I'm not wrong. I happened to attend this particular webinar on an evening around 5 p.m. The webinar went till 7:30, and you had about 15 minutes break in between. This is how the whole webinar was being scheduled. I'm not sure how about the other events for data science or artificial, maybe lesser time or maybe more time. But in the Python bootcamp, it was roughly about 2 hours or 2.5 hours and 15 minutes break in between. Now, is this particular bootcamp for everyone? No. If you are not a beginner, or if you are not someone who's just starting, then this is for you. For any beginners who does not even understand what programming is, who does not understand what functions are, who do not know what variables are, who do not know what is the difference between interpreted and compiler languages, this bootcamp is not for you all, because in this particular webinar, they never even touch the basics. They never told you like how to even, what is a variable, how do you assign a value to it, and what does a variable do. Nothing as such. They just started typing a variable and assigned a value to it, and then they started to execute it. So it was very clear, and I also got to know that this particular bootcamp is not for beginners. It is for someone who's already been learning for a couple of days or couple of months. And I usually would suggest these bootcamps for intermediate. Again, not sure if this is the same for the other events of artificial intelligence and stuff. But yesterday, when I happened to be in that webinar, the instructor himself said it very openly that if you are a beginner, then this is not the bootcamp for you all. So he kindly asked the beginners to even leave the webinar. So they were straight that this is not for beginners. This is for someone who already knows the basics, probably from intermediate or even experienced people. And one good thing that I happened to find out in this particular webinar is nowhere in the webinar the instructor tried to sell their courses. Like, the whole webinar was only about teaching Python, where I think the first 1.5 hours was about teaching, and the last 1 hour was about answering the questions and quizzes, and giving a couple of forms on how good the webinar was and things like that, like generalized stuffs. But nowhere they happen to even market their courses that, we have Python, come take it up, come learn. It is only 20,000 for the people who are attending the webinar. Nothing as such. They never spoke about the courses. They never even spoke about the prices. That is something I genuinely liked it. And the 1.5 hours of whatever I went through was really nice. The session was really interactive. Like, the instructor read each and every possible related questions that made sense to him. There were also some spams, but that's always there. You can't help it. But anything that is relatable and anything that made sense to the particular bootcamp, he mostly explained all of those questions, and I really liked it. Now, the reason why I would suggest anyone who's not attending these sort of boot camps or any programs on an offline method to attend this is because at particular time you need to have an interactive instructor. Otherwise, it's going to be really a dead end for y'all, because not everything can be figured out by yourself, and even if you do so, it's going to take a lot of time. Like, you're just going to break your head and get into depression, and then it'll be like a dead end or a roadblock to you. So I would at least ask you to enroll in these free boot camps. You don't have to go pay, like, because their courses are shit expensive. Like, I think their full stack web development course is about 280 or 2 lakh plus, which is huge. They claim that you end up spending lots of money for your MTech or BTech, and why not spend half the money? But at the end of the day, the credible and the value that an BTech or an MTech certificate or an MCA certificate has is not the same for your Scaler, because Scaler is first of all not in UGC recognized or a government recognized or credible institute. It's a private institute, and I'm sure they have multiple tie-ups with various tech organizations, and they get you placements. But again, at the end of the day, you can't have only that certificate and go and hunt jobs like how you have your BTech and MTech. BTech and MTech has its value, and it's right there. Scaler, I would say it's for someone who's already finished their BTech and who wants to learn a lot of practical skills, because usually in your BTech or MTech, the only problem, at least when it comes to India, is CS has to be a completely practical course, but then how many hours of lab do you even have? Hardly few hours in a week or few hours in a month. And I really don't understand how students are going to cope up with programming or even learning what a text editor or debugging or coding. They have very few time, and they have loads of theories to study. So that's how these people usually are really strong in theory and not very strong in practical. So once probably they get graduated from their BTech or MTech, and they're like, they lack knowledge or expertise in practicals or how to go about on hands-on. So then institutes like Scaler or Coding Ninjas or XYZ, whoever are out there and whoever are good, I'm not recommending any of them, please don't get me wrong. I'm just saying that there are many people. Please do your research before joining all of these institutes. I haven't personally enrolled in any of these guys, so I would not recommend or nor suggest you to go get enrolled. Please do your research before investing your money. But again, if you wanna level up your practical skills or expertise, then there are institutes, private institutes like this which will completely concentrate on the practical part of your programming and not the theory part. So that then you develop your practicals. So that's the reason why I would suggest you all to probably give it a look at least at the free bootcamp and see what they teach and how practically you can take up programming, and not just sit and read books and not just sit and read some articles and then not trying it out. Because programming is all about getting your hands dirty. You can't learn programming when you're just sitting idle and just reading books. You have to get into the mud and get yourself into the dirty situation, and only then you will learn what programming is. So this is what I wanted to convey to all the viewers who have been consistently watching. I know there are not many viewers, but I'm really happy that whoever are at least watching this will get this particular message of what is a bootcamp or what does Scaler does with a bootcamp. And since it's free, I also thought let me share it with you all, and probably you guys can also get enrolled in this particular bootcamp and start participating in this particular bootcamp. So with that, I will end today's video. Till then, Suraj here signing off from TMCB. Peace.